How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Hopefully it's having a lovely day. Shemar Stewart. Here's a surprise, actually. I already spoiled it. I'm gonna apologize, but guess who's in the headlines again today for the Cincinnati Bengals? May or may not be speaking to the reporters again. What a great time it is. As if something different is going to come out of this man's mouth. Today, Shemar Stewart saying, hey, when asked about it, it says, hey, it's been an easy decision to hold out, to not participate, because the stars have my back. The stars think I'm doing the right thing. And, you know, when you really dive into this situation, it's, you know, it's perfect situation. Perfect situation for a dilemma, an explosion, a tidal wave for players to do something different. Because this guy comes in, you know, you have all the NIL money in a college now, kind of gets, you know, it's got players thinking differently. But now this guy comes in, he comes into a team. Not only is it a team that says, hey, here's some contract wording we're going to change around, which I would assume, and this is why this is what it is ever so important to me when you kind of dive into everything, is this isn't new. We can pretend all we want that the Bengals are trying to set a precedent and they're the only team being difficult. No, it was a couple weeks ago, half the freaking first round draft picks weren't signed. It's not new. You can come up with dozens on dozens on dozens on dozens of first round draft picks that have not signed their rookie contract entering the month of June over the years. Lots of them end of June, end of July. The difference is this guy comes public about it. This guy's saying this is the problems. I'm not going to participate. The difference is he is not participating in practice. And the difference is he comes into a highly leveraged situation because, yeah, your stars are going to agree with him. Trey Hendrickson sitting out once a contract. T. Higgins had to get franchise tag, had to go through that whole mess to get a contract. Jamar Chase, they wait as long as they can, make a big deal out of his contract. This is an organization that, yeah, all the star players are going to agree with you because they all disgruntled with the front office because of the way they was treated. And as a 21-year-old, and this is what's important to me, as a 21-year-old, you're a highly influential or highly influenced person. You're not fully matured, no question about it. I think looking back at Shemar Stewart, you know, 4 or 5 years from now, even he might look back and say, wow, I was kind of acting silly. I was acting immature. That part of a player, you can grow, you can develop, you know, just like we're saying with Jermaine Burton, we're hoping, I mean, it's 23 now, right? Yeah, I mean, we're hoping he can continue to take those next steps in maturity. This isn't new where you have players of maturity. You got to remember, you're putting these guys in the biggest of spotlights at 21 freaking years old. I mean, I'm sure we can all think of one or two people that we know personally. Maybe it was us that were 21, 22 years old that gave you all sorts of attitude, right? Maybe it was a sister, a cousin, a kid. They're going to give you that attitude. Just because you're a professional, that doesn't mean you still don't act like that. The problem is, I can also name, I can pinpoint those people and say, hey, the maturity's not all there, but the work ethic is, though. They're still working their tail off. That's the part that concerns me. That part does not typically change as easy. 4 or 5 years down the road, I mean, if you're lazy at 21, you're lazy at 25. Usually that doesn't change. And to me, not participating in practice is you looking for a reason not to be lazy, to not grow. That is a word. I've kind of convoluted all of this into one. And with this Shemar Stewart situation, and this is, I think comparing is very important as well. Because yeah, sure, all the star players agree with you. Did they do this as rookies? No. Jamar Chase sat out an entire college football year. He did not sign his rookie contract right away. It was about June 2nd, I believe? Beginning of June. He was out there on the field, running routes, unsigned. This is a guy that felt so highly about himself, he did not participate his entire junior year of college. Nick Bosa, battling with the injuries and stuff, participates in training camp, participates in the OTA. You know, he participates in what he can participate in as a rookie. You know when he signed his rookie deal? The end of July. These are to think this is unprecedented contract negotiations with Shemar Stewart, I think would be silly. I think these other people didn't go as public about it. I think they didn't point out as much stuff about it, but there's no question about it. They was holding out for a reason. Whether it be contract language, whether it be guarantees, or it be upfront money, they was holding out for a reason. because they was trying to win the contract just like the teams were. But at the end of the day, Joey Bosa, I like Joey Bosa's example. Joey Bosa was a guy who participated in OTAs, participated in rookie camp. It was about mid-June, he said, hang up, hold up. Mandatory veteran camp, we're done. I've been trying my best to work out a contract. I want to be signed. I want this, the salary, the signing bonus. I want this stuff figured out. I came onto the field. I showed you guys I wanted to work. I wanted to be great. I wanted to practice. You are still dragging your feet a month plus later. I'm going to hold out until it gets done. That is what Joey Bosa did, but he tried. He participated. He proved he wanted to be here. He proved he wanted to work. And he said, okay, now we're getting difficult. We're not at that point with Shemar Stewart. We're still a little earlier in June than that, a few days. Never stepped on the field. Since day one, this guy was, in a sense, passive aggressive with these contract talks. I mean, we was days into it. We was hearing the stories, right? That's the difference. The difference to me is we can look back and say, hey, this isn't the first time we've seen contract disputes. This isn't the first time we've seen contract disputes with the Bengals, more importantly. The Bengals, a team now, Trey Hendricks and Tia, they can't make it easy with anybody. They seem to have, every single person that comes up, it seems to have some sort of contractual dispute and disagreement with this team. And that's why I say, it's a perfect, here's the gas, here's the matches, right? Perfect situation for an explosion, for somebody to come in the right situation, because you already have all these players that are disgruntled. And I feel like I skipped this. Now we're going completely off track, but I think this is important. This is a Cincinnati Bengals team. Credit Zach Taylor. We give him a lot of, our thoughts. Vocal ones, to say the least. But you got to credit Joe Burrow. You have to credit Zach Taylor for their leadership, their culture they have created in this locker room. No matter what, they seem to always have each other's backs. There's never been a time it feels like where one player is kind of dogging another. There's never been a time where they're not supporting each other. It's always felt like they've all been together supporting each other, wanting the best for the team, wanting the best for each other. That was a difficult problem with Marvin Lewis's teams, right? And that can be a different problem with a lot of teams. But through all of this hoopla, they've always stayed banded together. And you have to tip your cap off to these players, this team, for having that sort of mindset. That being said, though, we go back to, what we're talking about with Shemar Stewart situation. If I were to summarize my issues with this situation, Shemar Stewart, we'll start with the Bengals organization. Bengals organization, as we were saying, they've had all these problems with these players, these contracts. There's no question about it. The Bengals making all these contract disputes, all these problems, everything's got to be negotiated in the public. All of this stuff, it is a reflection of the behavior and the treatment of players from the Bengals front office. And there is no question about it. It is not good. If we were to give them a rating in those regards, they probably get an F. It's not pretty. On the flip side of things, Shemar Stewart coming out again. He's 21. There's no question about it at this point. I think he's got a bit of an attitude concern. There was worries about that going into the draft where he didn't want to talk to certain teams and all this. There was already this concern. And now, he even came out and said, I don't even remember talking to the Bengals. Like, I get it. You're busy. But anyway, there's no question about it. Bit of an attitude, bit of a behavioral concern. Can he overcome that over time? I'm sure. The other problem is you not participating in rookie mini camps, you not participating in these OTAs, these training sessions that you are contractually protected from. It does not matter what happens. You are locked in on this team for the next 4 years. If injuries happen, you're getting that money. To think that you are contractually obligated to be on this football team and you're choosing to not practice, you're choosing to not be great. We went over that list of players, the Bosas, the Chases. We went over that list of players because those are players you would consider great, that had contract issues, that were, thinking about themselves, their futures. They wanted what's best for themselves, but they also said, hey, I want to be great. I thought that was perfect prime examples of players that wanted to be great, but they was also thinking, hey, I don't want to get bent over backwards by these organizations, by these front offices. I don't want to be taken advantage of contractually. But I'm going to be on this field trying to be great. Shemar Stewart since day one has not proven that. He has proven he has, in my mind, a horrible work ethic. And he is a guy that we know is in that regard, we thought he needed to have an excellent work ethic to grow and develop into the star he's very capable of. And that's what we have to be capable. We know this guy has all the tools and all the abilities to be an absolute monster, a superstar in this league. But he has to have the work ethic. We know there is a growth and a development path that has to be taken for this man. So when the work ethic's bad, complete reflection of him not participating. It is a reflection of his behavior, and it is a reflection of his poor work ethic. In my mind, in my eyes, there is doing wrong by both sides. Both sides, to me, do not look good in this situation. Well, one bit, really. If you want, again, I am completely for you getting the right contract. I'm completely for you saying, hey, this front office is causing problems, whatever. We know as fans. But as fans, we're also thinking about this atrocious 9-8 football team MVP. Should have won the MVP. When you hear people go down the stats of how bad this offensive line was, how bad this defense was, when you hear about how many teams, how many teams lose games when they score 30 points, and you hear the stats of those numbers come across the screen, oh, it should have been Joe Burrow winning the MVP hands down. When you put an MVP season like that and you flush it down the toilet because of how horrible your defense is in the trenches, and you get a chance to draft a guy to make an impact, to make a difference, and he doesn't want to get on the field, that hurts. That hurts a lot. You want to have these guys get on the field. You want to have these guys that want to be great. And as a fan, that sucks. To me, at this point in juncture, you got what you got as the Bengals front office. This isn't Trey Hendrickson. This isn't Jamar Chase. In 4 years from now, if Shemar Stewart's got 3.5 sacks and he's, out here holding out again, begging for money, you just let the man walk. But for once, Bengals front office, just make it easy. Let's not make every single situation an MTV drama. Just take the crap out of the contract. Just give him what he wants. We're not talking 40, 50 million a year. Just give the man what he wants for a little bit. Just go out here and try to be a players first organization. Become a place that people want to be. Remember how much easier it is to get these teams that sign these guys on the minimum, the league minimum, that are veterans that want to be here when they feel like they're being treated right and they can win a championship. Right now, they can win a championship here. They don't feel like they're being treated right. And the grading, the report cards show that. Just... You gotta start putting your players first. And again, it is what it is with Shemar. I do not like this man right now. Things can change. I with a passion am scared to my life about this man's work ethic and what he turns into. I hope I'm wrong. But at the end of the day, you committed to this man. There's no going back. There's no undoing. You can't undo the draft pick. Nobody's going to take this man with what's going on. You drafted him. He's here for 4 years. Just give the man what he wants. And we'll see what happens from there. Because every day, every week, every month, you continue to keep this man on the sidelines. You continue to not improve what was a defense that held your team back from winning a Super Bowl last year. Period. Nonetheless, love the y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.